Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Daily Triple, your new no-shit news format. That's 3 news stories in just one video with zero faff. Doom Eternal is one of the year's most anticipated games, with many journalists singing the game's praises after hands-on sessions earlier this week. While the developer, id Software, is pushing the game to the current gen's limits and claiming the title is the best game we've ever made, this all does come at a price. According to executive producer Mathias Kranawetter, who spoke with VG247, we were crunching pretty hard most of last year. Crunch is a hot topic in the industry these days, with numerous stories and exposés revealing the terrible working conditions at companies like BioWare and Epic Games. Recently, the one true savior that is CD Projekt even admitted to crunching in the lead up to Cyberpunk 2077's release, which we discussed on last week's podcast. With id Software, however, Stratton is clearly trying to highlight that it is completely optional for staff to work that much harder, with no forced overtime or working in nappies. We'll have one group of people crunching so the next group of people are teed up properly. As they get done, they may need to crunch a little bit. We really truly do try and be respectful of people's time and lives. We have very dedicated people that just choose to work a lot in many cases. It was nice because we want the game to be perfect. We want it to live up to our expectations and consumer expectations. id Software also explained that the delay from November to March has helped alleviate the crunch, but some team members continue to push themselves to make the best game they've ever made, which wouldn't be possible without the delay. We work very hard and we'll put in extra time to do that. Sometimes when we just get the extra time, we do it anyways because we want it to be that much better. A delay takes a little bit of the steam and pressure out, but it's almost one of those things where we'll push it even harder to get even more just as tight as it possibly can be. For many people, any form of crunch is totally unacceptable and should be completely eradicated from the industry, but to others, so long as the extra work hours are optional and the whole process isn't damaging to the developer's health, they're fine with it. Make sure to let me know where you stand down in the comments. The word crunch itself can mean different things to different people, so any conversation around it can get about as messy as chainsawing through a horde of imps. And that's almost as messy as my pants will get when this game finally launches in March. Was that too far? Was that a bit too much information? And next up, if there's one thing you know that you'll get from a Paradox game, it's that there will be a nearly endless amount of playtime, as well as a nearly endless amount of DLC. However, in order to make the game attractive to new players, Paradox are trying an old solution to a new problem. Paradox games, while being some of the most acclaimed strategy titles for the PC, have been long criticised for the sheer amount of DLC on offer for each game. 2013's Europa Universalis 4, for example, has a total of 59 pieces of additional content available on top of the core game, and this is pretty typical for a Paradox game like this. For new players, this is obviously pretty daunting, and raises a whole bunch of questions. Do you need to buy all the DLC to get the best possible gameplay experience? If you did just buy the base game, would that be a decent gameplay experience? How much money would you spend on additional content before you access the best possible gameplay experience? And why does it cost so bloody much? Paradox are aware of this extremely confusing entry point for new players and are trialing a new solution. They recently announced on a forum post, "We have heard for years from existing and potential new players that the cost of getting the game and all expansions at once is quite expensive and might be discouraging for completely new EU4 fans. It's been supported for almost 7 years after all. A subscription model has been suggested to us on many occasions, so we thought we'd run a test to see how popular such a service would be. The details of the trial are pretty sparse. For example, they haven't decided on how much it will cost just yet, and they say this is partially why they need the trial first. They did confirm, however, that the subscription won't replace the current pricing model, meaning players will still be able to purchase the additional DLC separately. The trial is aimed at new players who want the best gameplay experience possible, but don't want to shell out hundreds in order to get it, which is great. Paying one single monthly fee, which you could cancel at any point, even without knowing the price of the subscription, seems like a better deal than having to buy all the DLC outright from a standing start. However, this isn't a solution which will suit every player. What about the players who already own a bunch of DLC? Do they have to pay the full subscription to access the portion they don't already own? And will all brand new DLC released in the future be available from day one with the subscription? My guess is that this is what the trial will be for, so that they can cover all the bases. Let's hope Paradox arrives at a pricing solution which benefits not just new players, but the medium-term and even veteran players too. Subscriptions have pretty much died out in gaming over recent years. Therefore, implementing a subscription into a 7-year-old single-player grand strategy game might initially seem completely bonkers. But considering the sheer amount of content Paradox churns out for these games, which results in a highly daunting entry point for new players, a subscription seems to make a lot of sense in this situation. So what do you reckon? Is it crazy to pay for a subscription for a single player game? Make sure to let me know down in the comments. And finally, the never-ending war between Microsoft and Sony is one of mankind's greatest conflicts, and new battle lines will be drawn come the launch of the next generation of consoles. Loyalty is vital in wartime, and apparently those Sony ponies are the most faithful of the bunch. In a survey by the uninventively titled Best SEO Companies, it was found that of the 1,008 participants, 40.7% were devoted to the PlayStation family, leaving just 31% to stick up for the Xbox, closely followed by 30.4% fighting in the red corner for Nintendo. Additionally, 1 in 3 participants said they would continue to fight the good fight with Sony and buy the PS5, versus just 1 in 4 sticking with the Xbox. So there you have it, Sony comes out as having the most loyal fanbase among gamers. Who knew making loads of really good games would actually work? To be fair to them, Xbox have been much better recently and have begun to close the gap with their services like Game Pass, so we'll have to wait and see if things change in the next generation. If you enjoyed this new no shit format, make sure to give it a like and give it a boost, hit subscribe and the bell to stay notified of all future installments, toss a coin to your favourite YouTuber over at patreon.com/prettygoodgaming to support the work that we do. I've been Henry, that's all for today, bye for now. Got it in the end. Got there in the end. Jesus Christ, how long is it going to take me to get that intro right? Intro, outro. See, I got it wrong there. Your new from the Teletubbies. We have very dedicated people. You can hear my stomach rumbling. Very dedicated people indeed. Single player grand strategy. Jesus, I'm rumbling again. Guess you could say I'm hungry for news. That's the worst joke I've ever made.